This is the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. Season 5, episode 25. And it's playoff time. And I don't recall the specific episode in which I said this, but there might have actually been a tweet or post on X, whatever. The show is taking on a different format, a little more intensity now that we're in the playoffs. If anyone's living under a rock, Notre Dame made the playoffs. Hooray! And we have a game next week, Friday, which is odd. But I'm down with it. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the playoff field. We'll talk a little bit about our opponent. Not a whole lot, but mostly about the field as a whole. And kind of the path forward. So thank you so much for joining us. This is Joe at Faithful_Irish on the X, volume 144 of all time. I'm happy to be podcasting to you on a Thursday. Normally not our time. We're normally a Tuesday night show. But look, shit happens. You got sick kids and a busy family and, whatever you got to do. So here we are. So thank you everyone for joining us. We got Nolan on mute. We've got Coach Barsegian. We got Bobby with us, and maybe my silly brother will at some point join us. He had the audacity to say, "Are you podcasting tonight?" I'm like, "Excuse me? You know what's happening. All right, you know what's going on here, Mr. Single." So respect. All right. But yes, we are, as I said, the show is going to take on a different format, and it's not because I'm trying to put on an act or any, unbalanced emotion like some other fucking shows do, where they just get mad over quotes that opposing coaches or, pundits on the media say. Fuck that. I'm not going to get triggered per se. But what I will say is this is there is depth and there is basis to my opinion, and we'll get into that a little bit tonight, but mostly to next week. I'm saving a lot of. I'm kind of we've got like a safety valve. If you are mechanically inclined, like a bleed valve or a little safety valve, whatever. That's what this show is. The meat and potatoes of my real emotion is staying buried right now because we don't have a game this week. So if you don't want to hear, a bunch of scotch and spreadsheet talk tonight, turn this shit off and come back next week. I don't care. But if you want to stay with us and you have an opinion about the playoffs, hey, we're happy to have you here. Maybe you just like Iron Maiden. That's why you're with us. So thank you so much, everyone. We got Jimmy Joe. We got Nolan. I think that's Luis. He keeps changing his fucking handle, so whatever. But let's bring Nolan back on because he told me earlier he wanted to sing Iron Maiden.
What's up, man?
No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Nolan? Welcome back to the show.
Hey, hope your kid is feeling better.
He's not, but it is what it is. But that's fine. I appreciate your comments there. I appreciate that. What do you got to make about the Irish or about the playoffs or college football in general, or floor is yours, sir.
I just came in here to listen to you, but I'm glad you got your tickets, and hopefully we'll see you at the tailgate.
Yes, that is true. So my lottery allotment, apparently my influence is not as profound as I would thought. Although I think it was Dr. Abby or somebody said, hey, you should use your podcast handle instead of your real name when you apply. That may be true because we do all know that the university does listen to this show. And if they did half the shit I talk about, we'd have multiple bowl wins under our belt. But that being said, we are where we are now. I did not get tickets via the lottery, but another source did make its presence known. And yes, yours truly will be in person at the game in just about a week. So I will be there, and my dad is coming out. And me and Dad are going to the game. Wife, toddler Irish faithful, baby Irish faithful may make an appearance at a tailgate. It's a little bit of weather dependent and how everybody's doing. But yes, we will have live boots on the ground, which means we won't have a post-game show. That's what that means. So sorry, all of you people. So that's the way that cookie crumbles. Nolan, anything else? Are we just gonna...
Nope.
All right, we're just going to jump to the next person. Thank you, Nolan. Appreciate your support of the show. Glad you're here to listen. And that's good because you have 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? You're twice as likely to listen than you should talk, right? So at Nolan Go ND34 on the X. Appreciate you much. We're going to jump straight ahead to our front man, Luis, who's been invited to speak. Luis, come back to us. The man from Reno by way of Fresno. Oh, I see Red Snapper decided to join us. What's up, co-host? We'll send you an invite. Luis, what's up, man? Did you make it back to I don't know what are they called? Nevada? It's not the Emerald State. What are they called?
Reno?
Yeah, well, I mean, like California's the Golden State, Indiana's the Hoosier State. You know what are they called? Nevada.
The Silver State.
Is it the Silver State? Okay, that's down. That's down. They're always second
Silver
place,
State.
I guess, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, I've been here, bro. Just working every day. Got no days off until my plane ticket itself been. So excited about all that. Waiting for everything to be confirmed. Yeah, so it's gonna be me and my little one, and we'll be out there, man. We're gonna just do us. You know how we do.
Are you coming in Thursday or Friday morning?
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Okay, very good, very good.
Yeah.
And this is your first trip to Notre Dame.
Yep, my very first trip.
Wow. And how long are you staying? Are you staying like through the weekend or what's your deal?
So we have our we don't come back until Sunday night.
Okay.
So our plane doesn't leave. Yeah, so we'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty much all day Sunday.
Good.
So good.
Well, that's good. You can experience some campus and a little bit of the community. I'll put it that way. On Saturday, and post game, whatever the results, and there it is. It will be an Irish victory. I'm gonna go on and say that, and yeah, that's great. So that's cool. Wow. So let me get this straight. Your first game at Notre Dame is going to be the first playoff game, and it's going to be freezing cold.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, it's hella cold over here. Don't think it's warm weather, but it's nothing.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm aware of the environment. I'm just saying. Like, it's not that I don't think you can handle the cold. That's not what I'm saying. It's the fact that you're picking a bad time to visit Notre Dame, like come in the summer, come in the fall, or something like that. Like, no, I'm gonna come in December.
Yeah, but like hopefully this is not the first or the last. This is one of many coming trips that we have planned for the next year, and I'm just excited, bro. Like, I to be honest with you, like I already know I'm gonna be full of emotions because it's not every day where I'm able to take both of my sons. Unfortunately, my oldest has some finals that has to come up on the 20th, the day of the game. So he just pretty much he's pretty much not going to end up going. But it's one of those things. At least I'm able to take one of my boys. So
good.
So it's gonna be a bucket list for sure that we could put under our belts.
That's excellent. Well, I'm happy you're going to make the way out. Any thoughts you have on the Irish? We're going to kind of keep our focus on the Hoosiers till next week. But if you have some high-level comments about them, the playoffs, their seed, the high-level stuff about the playoffs in general, obviously, we welcome those opinions.
Yeah, like to be honest with you, like I'm kind of reserving myself a little bit. Like I'm seeing that there's a lot of all of a sudden their fan bagging fans are starting to show up and talk all their itch. But it's like, all right, you know what? I got something for you, dude. I got something for you next week. Right now, I got to focus on work. Got to focus on my bags and just like I said, Notre Dame, we're here. We ain't going nowhere. We know what we got to do, and just put our foot in their mouth now and run their asses out of our stadium. That's it.
That's right. That's right. And it's really funny. I got some shit on Twitter because I made some comment about some guy was totally trolling Notre Dame fans about how we're gonna red out the stadium, and any Notre Dame fan remembers Nebraska, remembers Georgia of 2017, remembers Cincinnati, right, where Notre Dame wine and cheese fans sold their tickets right to the opposing fan base. They show up in red, so it's they're making a presence, right? So this guy, he's connected. He's some Hoosier fan, right? Respect. Jesus loves him too. However, he's trolling us on Twitter, especially the faithful here. And he made some comment about IU, taking over South Bend, which is bullshit. I don't think that's going to happen. But that being said, my response to him was based off of a tweet I saw earlier, because everyone knows IU is a basketball school, right? They just started playing football this year. I mean, let's face it. Okay. You had to go hire a legit coach from a lower level conference and bring him up to the Big Ten to finally do well. Okay. And respect to Signetti and what he has done there, because, quite frankly, IU is team number 3 in this house, but they're team number 0 definitely right now. That being said, this guy was talking Yang, and I just was like, you know what? And I saw some imagery of the Hoosier basketball team and the lack of crowd in Assembly Hall for a conference game. And I said, why don't you fill up your Assembly Hall for your own stadium, then come talk to me about filling up Notre Dame Stadium? To which he didn't like that. And then the asshole, and he is an asshole, started questioning my fandom with respect to Notre Dame and GU. For anybody who's fucking new, I have degrees to both universities, okay? And I work my ass off for both, and neither are easy to get into. So to that dude, fuck you, okay? Fuck you, all right?
Yeah, man. No, go ahead.
No, that was it. I just wanted to tell that guy to fuck off.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And I'm drinking a scotch, so that's it. I told you the show was going to be a little different.
Yeah, like I was on a space, right? And then we had a Hoosier just come at me out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh, man, it was one of those moments. It was one of those moments where, like, all right, my boy, it was a come to Jesus moment. That's what's going to happen with Indiana. They have a come to Jesus moment once Notre Dame runs their asses out of the stadium. They're going to F around, find out real fucking quick, man. But we just got to stay posed. We got to stay calm. They just focus on us. Let's worry about getting healthy right now. Make sure Riley Leonard is dialing in with those receivers, and those receivers starting to catch those balls the way they should, and we're going to be all right. And when it comes down Sunday, and when it comes down Friday on the 20th, we will show up, and we will show our true colors, and that stadium is going to be full of Notre Dame faithful and Notre Dame love, because we're going to kick their fucking ass and shut them up.
It's gonna be berserk. I guarantee you, it's gonna be off the hook. It's probably gonna be the greatest game I've ever been to in my entire life. The greatest Notre Dame game I was ever at, unfortunately, was a loss. It was 2009 versus SC, with Clausen as our quarterback, Pete Carroll, the whole bit, and we really didn't have a chance. We were totally the underdog, but we did kind of hang with them, and we did have a chance to tie it up. It didn't quite work out, but. That being said, that was the best game, probably the best quote-unquote Notre Dame game I ever went to. This game's going to be like, a factor of 4 beyond that. I guarantee it.
Luis and I were at the best Notre Dame SC game I've ever been to. So.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yes, sir. I had to hunt him down. I'm like, oh, hell no. I got to go see my brother for another brother. All right, nope. I gotta go take a picture of my boy real quick.
That was awesome. That just the whole game, being able to meet Luis, like that best It was a rocking stadium. It was rocking. And to shut them up the way we did, oh, it was epic.
Yes, sir.
It was
beautiful.
epic.
It's great to go into someone else's house and walk out with your head high and, strutting your shit. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, and there's no comparison to Purdue, Ross-Ade, right? I've only been to one opposing stadium where I've walked out with a victory, and that was fucking Purdue this year, right? I am so happy that Red Snapper, Luis, and any of the Irish faithful who are down in the Coliseum this year, or any opposing stadium, for Kingdom Come, and you've walked out of there with a victory in someone else's house. With your head held high, and it's like, hey, just look at the scoreboard, right? I don't have to say anything else.
The absolute best is we're walking out, and Cousin Irish Faithful, it's her first ever Notre Dame game.
Cousin Irish Faithful, I like that.
And we had a husband-wife, both alumni from SC, stop us, just said, you guys are now 11-1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, kind of questioning. I said, yeah, we lost to NIU and then went on a 10-game win streak. And they said, wow, how did you guys lose to NIU? I said, honestly, I don't know.
I don't know either.
We had our heads up our
well,
butts.
I mean, we have some numbers that we could, we don't want to talk about that. But.
If that memory is what's driving this team now, then maybe it was the loss we needed to readjust. But they said, you guys are playing like a 12-0 team.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and we've got some numbers later in the show to reflect a little bit about that, about the Fighting Irish here, and because we did a little high level statistical analysis, filled in a handful of cells here, specifically 180 of them, to yes, and I did just do that in Excel. To figure out exactly where Notre Dame is relative to the rest of the field in the playoffs. So, Luis, any other final thoughts here before we catch some word from Red Snapper and we go on to Adam Dowling?
First and foremost, everything. A lot of this is it's happening thanks to you guys for your support, your love. Red Snapper, I called you my boy, and I had a moment with you, and on God, bro, man, my respects to you, and also to you, my friend. Congratulations on your both degrees. My little boy, my big boy, is working on his first. So, and like I told him, never stop growing, and then that's exactly what we're doing, guys. We're not stopping, and we're continuing to grow.
Amen, brother.
I appreciate that, Luis. And let me clarify something. I don't want to talk about my degrees from GU and Notre Dame as arrogance, all right? Because both of them have made me A, who I am, but B, humiliated me, quite frankly, to make me a stronger person and this, that, and the other. So I don't want to say that as a piece
They
of
humbled
arrogance.
you. They didn't humiliate you.
No. I was embarrassed the fuck at Notre Dame. I'll tell you what, that place made me cry. Okay. And to which the doc had to tell me, give me some tough love, quite frankly. But we need to get into that story. My whole piece is anyone is questioning, my identity and why I root for who I root for. It's like, no, like you're new here. Okay. Go do some research. Okay. Before you come hop on. All right. Here and start, talking shit to someone. So. And then some Purdue fans started jumping in, and I was just like, Purdue, go sit down, okay? Go away.
Yeah, the reason I say congratulations on you is because, like I told someone here, like I said, where I come from, I let my kids know, if you don't dream big and if you don't strive for greatness, you're never going to achieve those goals. And as a minority, and where I come from,
yep,
we don't have those aspects, and that's why, as a father, I'm telling my kids Notre Dame, and my kids are finding out how hard it is. But you know what? You should feel very proud because, it humbled you, but it made you who you are, and it put you in my path, and that means a lot to me. So you know what? Congratulations. Your dad and your mama is proud of you because I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that, Luis. Yeah, no, I mean, and anyone who, busts their ass, it's fucking Rudy, you put in the work, you put in the effort, right? And shit happens, right? It doesn't always usually go out the way you want to, but things kind of have a way of being the way they are, the way they should be. So, all right, Luis, I appreciate you. Let's jump over to Red Snapper here real quick. Red Snapper, we haven't had a chance to debrief here about the field. How happy are you that Alabama did not make it into the playoffs?
Oh, I was ecstatic. and honestly, I was sitting there. I honestly thought that if the Big Ten had gone the other direction and, the Big 12 had gone the other direction, then potentially Ohio State could have even fallen out. So I was looking to see what the victories were. And I was rooting for Penn State because I wanted as much parity in the whole thing as possible. But Oregon was the better team. Texas played a close game. But, it
that's
ended
the
up
one
being,
game, unfortunately, I was unable to watch. Just the timing of it, what we were doing last weekend. We went to a baptism, whatever. And the Texas Georgia game, I didn't watch a single minute of, and so I'm kind of in the dark with respect to the SEC. And then we got the Big Ten. I did see the end of the Oregon Penn State game. I was disappointed that Penn State, but not surprised that Penn State had some stupid fucking play calling at the end when they had the ball. And it's like, you have a chance to tie this shit up, and you're throwing a deep, long bomb pass down the sideline with 2 minutes left. You don't have to do that. Just do chunk plays, 10-yard plays, 15-yard plays, what have you. Work the ball down the field, wear down the opponent, make it, that's intelligent football. And Penn State does stupid play calling again and throws an interception, and then it's game over. Oregon wins, So I thought Penn State's play calling was stupid, similar to what they did at home versus Ohio State. They had a chance to take the lead. They ran a near bunch formation in their own, they're ready to score on the short side of the fucking field. And then they throw to that corner. I'm like, oh, that's fucking stupid. From shotgun, by the way, from the 1 yard line. So so I have very little concerns that Penn State is going to go the distance. I've seen this prediction, that prediction. Look, Penn State, when the rubber meets the road, when shit goes down this season, the 2 games that really fucking mattered, honestly, they had shitty play calling, and
they wet the bed big time.
It's just, and it's not even like, it's not like you called the decent play and then it was just poor execution. No, you put your players in a bad position. You put one guy on an island against Oregon, and then you put like half your fucking offense in one corner of the end zone. Stop. Okay, don't do that. Okay, so, and not that I'm a Penn State fan. I'm kind of agnostic to them, but that being said, I don't know.
Yeah, so I was looking for a little bit more parity than what we got, but because of the parity we did have, it did shift some people around, and you knew Notre Dame was not going to be ranked higher than 5th in the overall seeding, and so the fact that we got seeded where we got seeded, I was fine with it.
Well, and I think if Texas had won and Penn State had won, then maybe Notre Dame would have stayed like a 6 or something. But with the way things worked out, like, someone was pissed that Penn State and Texas were in front of Notre Dame. I'm like, they've been behind them for like ever, like
the entire year.
Why would that change now? Like, that's not gonna change.
We were behind them all year long. So
if someone wants my opinion, do I like that Penn State's ranked ahead of us? The answer is no. Okay. Number 1, I can't do anything about it, and 2, am I surprised? Of course not. Because that's just the way it is.
But of course, their losses were only to Oregon, so and Ohio State. But when you look at it, it's the parity could have been there. It could have been a little bit more. It could have pushed us down further. We still would have hosted a home game, but as an 8 seed. So that was kind of there was no way mathematically that we would not have hosted a home game.
Yes,
but at some point it was okay. Are we going to be the 5th, 6th, or 7th seed? Maybe the 8th seed if there's some real parity. But
Some real
we'll
craziness,
see.
yeah.
But I was rooting for the Ohio State Notre Dame game. I was rooting for that because that's where I wanted to see the seeding go. But Ohio State was going to be ranked too high.
They're on the other side of the bracket now. That wouldn't happen until like a natty situation. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's really crazy. Yeah. So everybody on Notre Dame's quote unquote side of the bracket is Penn State, Boise State, SMU. Let's see, who do we got? We got IU, Georgia.
I think just for the sake of argument, you might have to endure a number 3 team and a number 2 team removal this year.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole like and Red Snapper, you and I had this conversation. I don't know, it was last year or the year before. It seems so long ago. It was the one that was it was a podcast we did, and I think Adam Dowling was with us, and we'll get to you. Actually, let's bring Adam on right now. We had a long conversation. It got real heated there for a few minutes, and then it was like we were going through all the hypotheticals of the playoffs because we were working through these scenarios of what it would be like now in the
anticipating
future.
What the 12 team was going to look like.
Yes,
exactly.
and like it was something weird. Like Purdue was like actually decent and playing for this is why I think it was 2 years ago. But anyway, point being is what I think is dumb is like if they want to reward conference champion winners for being like you're in the playoffs, like you're locked in. You will be in the playoffs. I have zero problems with that. It's making these automatic bid things, which is really stupid, okay? And that's not to be disrespectful to Boise or Arizona State, who are the automatic bids in their respective bowl games. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if what I think they should do is put them in the field, just like what they did with Clemson. Okay, Clemson is an automatic. You're in the playoffs, right? You're kind of this at large, right? You were ranked 18th in Sagarin, right? And you were ranked 16th in the college football playoff rankings. But we're going to put you in, but then you're going to open the first round at Texas. Okay, I'm fine with that. What I don't think is intelligent is why ASU and Boise are automatic bids in and buy games per se for them respectively, because they're ranked 30th in Sagarin and 12th in Sagarin. So I'm like, give me a fucking break, okay? What I think I should do is okay, we got you stamped in, you're locked in. As in the playoffs, you're good, just like the basketball tournament. And then once we have those 4, 5, 6 teams, whatever they are, all stamped in, ready to go, then they rank everybody relative to their overall performance, body of work. If you want to say eye test, you can say eye test, even though I don't like that. And then just rank everybody 1 through 4, and then give numbers 1 through 4 the buys, and not this conference bullshit, favoritism, right? Because what's going to happen, it's going to cheapen. I guarantee you this will happen. I guarantee you 2 of these New Year's 6 bowls will be absolute fucking blowouts. I'm looking at you, Arizona State. You're going to get blown the fuck out by either Clemson or Texas. Catch me outside. How about that? All right.
Mr. Dowling, how are you?
Is Adam there?
Guys, how you doing?
Doing great.
The show is taking on a different vibe, Adam, if you haven't figured that out.
We're reviving the After Dark.
It's more intense.
How are you doing down in IU land down there?
I mean, I don't live in Bloomington. I live just south of Indianapolis. I'm closer to Indianapolis than I am to B-Town. What's funny is the doc, right? The doc went to IU. She got her degree from there. And my mom, the Red Snapper and me, our mom, she's like, oh, how's how's she doing? Like, is it a house divided? I'm like, look, we don't hate IU, but we're not loyal to their football program by any means. So like that's ridiculous. I did get a little bit of banter from some coworkers, but even I think they don't think it's serious. Now, I do have a funny story about that, Adam. I was talking to our pastor a couple weekends ago after church, and he's so funny. He's like he's not really into sports. Like, if you want to know his real opinion, he'll probably tell you like sports is a distraction, and we should be focused on our faith, right? And that's a typical pastor type of comment. However, because he's a Hoosier and he's from Indiana, and Indiana now has a decent football team finally. He's like waking up like, oh, what's this over here? And so he knows who I am, and he knows I love Notre Dame, this, that, and the other. And my own pastor was trolling me, and he says, hey, wouldn't it be great if IU beat Notre Dame?
Did you ask your pastor, like, what's wrong with you? Like, where's your
No,
loyalty here?
what I said to him, was, that would be great for IU as a program. I was trying to keep it positive without telling him what I really thought, right? So it's like you're a priest. I don't want to tell you to go fuck off in the narthex here.
I know you're not from Indiana, but like the majority of IU graduates and people that attended IU are more like Central Indiana, Southern Indiana kind of people.
Yeah.
We're more Northern Indiana, went to Purdue.
That's fair.
Yeah, and like for me,
I've lived in
up
both. I've lived in South Bend. I've lived in
Yeah.
Bloomington, and here I live outside of Indianapolis proper. So
Yeah, and I would say more. I mean, obviously Notre Dame gets students from all over the country.
everywhere.
Yes, but it's more Chicagoland, Irish Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
People are more Notre Dame fans. Even in Northwest Indiana, there's a lot huge. The Catholic community and Catholic schools are more. There's a lot more of them in the very Northwest Indiana border Chicago area.
Yeah,
So,
even Fort Wayne,
so
right?
it's different. Yeah. Fort Wayne definitely has more too. The bigger like city areas have more of the Catholic schools and Notre
Yeah,
Dame
no,
schools.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun. It's weird because I almost wanted to call it because like originally, we kind of talked about the crowd with Indiana because it's weird because Indiana, you've never heard anyone actually cheer for Indiana football before.
I didn't even know they had football until this year.
So it was super weird, and I'm almost admitting that I was wrong originally because the ticket normally when the ticket prices are outrageous like they've been, you at Notre Dame, you think it's the visiting teams fans buying the tickets and driving the prices up. That's what you think because it's not. Notre Dame fans aren't paying stupid money for Indiana. They're just not.
No, yeah, exactly. If you looked at the teams in a vacuum, you don't. I think it's the environment. I think it's the playoffs. I think it's the historical nature of this game.
And we've had neighbors, like people that live in our neighborhood, offer us stupid money for our tickets. Stupid
Really?
money. Indiana people. Yeah.
Oh, no.
People that, yeah. So originally I was
Don't
like,
sell your tickets to IU fans, Adam.
No. Do you think I'm doing that?
I didn't say that. I'm just regurgitating the shit I read on social media.
I'm just trying to figure out how many IU fans are actually going to be there. That's what I'm saying. So originally, the first one, once it came out, I was thinking this might look like Cincinnati. It might look like 20,000, 25,000 IU fans, which isn't that big a deal because Ohio State had a lot of fans there, but you didn't notice them, So, but I mean,
like like for some reason, like if Ohio State has that many people, I'm not too worried. Right? You're talking about 25 G's of IU fans. That's almost a third of the stadium.
Yeah, but I bet Ohio State had that, or probably more.
Maybe, I don't know. Like I didn't feel it was that way, last year when they were in our stadium. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think it was. But that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think 20,000 would take it over. Like nothing like
No.
Georgia. But that was
Yeah,
my first
Nebraska
opinion.
in 2000. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, like we give the opposing team, I think, like 8 to 10,000 almost every game.
Yeah, that upper corner. Yeah.
Yeah. So originally I thought, oh man, with the way these prices are, and IU's never been in a game like this, and all these people can just drive there. That it's
Yes.
not like it's a trip and a hotel and a flight. But
I mean, it
now,
might be considering the time of the game, but no, I hear what you're saying.
2 days later, the prices have been cut in half.
They
In
are
2 days.
dropping, which is well, and here's the deal.
Yes.
The initial prior to so here's a little insight to everybody else. Prior to Tuesday, okay, it was just season ticket holders, people who were being guaranteed their season tickets, and there are some people who either A, wanted to sell them, or B, couldn't make the game for whatever reason prior to commitments. I don't know any of those people, but that's just my knee-jerk reaction. Okay, these are season ticket holders, people paying serious money for their seats, number one. Number two, on Tuesday is when the alumni lottery and the rest of the fan base that had that connection, yours truly included, got into the lottery, or had to, the lottery results were made present. So I didn't win the lottery, right? I was denied. I didn't get anything, even though I put in for 4, and it is what it is. So what you're seeing now is come Wednesday, Thursday, is the tickets that are being sold now is now the market has this is simple economics, right? There is a larger supply of tickets now in the market, and now those people who got tickets and either now can't go or are trying to just sell them, what have you, they're trying to sell them, and so they're trying to be more competitive per se with price and lucrative, and they want to sell their tickets, so they're going to drop the price, because despite the fact that there are a finite number of tickets, if you're the first one out there, you could probably get a good deal. So it is what it is. This is just simple economics at this point, but there is a finite number of tickets now. They've all been spoken for either to the opposing fan base or for anyone who was a season ticket holder or an alumni lottery recipient. I'll just put it that way. So that is how the lottery worked. You had to be an alumni or a donor or something to that effect, or a season ticket holder to even be in the equation. So I remember getting an email basically saying that, like, yeah, demand is high for this game. So, and I don't doubt that for a single second. You're going to see all the big names, anyone from Vince Vaughn to Bon Jovi to, pick your favorite celebrity who you've seen at a Notre Dame game. They're all going to be there. Okay. And why wouldn't they? This is the first time Notre Dame this is the first 12-team first playoff game in Notre Dame Stadium. It's going to be probably the first game ever in December. Can I say that? And yeah, it's going to be cold, but people are willing to go out and brave the weather.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny part is that we have some IU people that are neighbors, and they're mad now because they bought the tickets. I don't know how they bought them, but because they weren't available to anybody yet. But they bought them for top dollar immediately, and now they've dropped in half the prices. So they're like super pissed. So they're super pissed, and me and Tiffany are laughing at them like, "You guys are idiots." But now I'm not concerned now. I was a little bit concerned, like every IU fan alive was going to try to buy these tickets because the prices were so high. And my original opinion was that we could see something like Cincinnati maybe when they came, and
Yeah.
now I'm not concerned at all now. I don't think it's going to be anything like that because the prices are dropping. If those IU fans were buying up the tickets, they would stay the same price.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I will say this: I'll price and economics aside, if I just look at the teams and forget the opponent, Georgia, Cincinnati, even Nebraska of 2000. This Notre Dame team is completely different from all of those other teams. It's late in the season. We know what we have, and we have some statistics here we'll get into not too far away.
I was just going to say that's a perfect segue in.
Well, it is, but the problem is, Red Stamper, I can't directly compare it to what Adam's talking about. Notre Dame when they played Cincinnati a couple years ago in 2021 versus Georgia 2017. I wasn't even podcasting in 2017, and certainly was not in the Davy years of 2000. So, all I could go off was a record and a few other very, very high level things. But that being said, this team's 11-1. We're in the playoffs. We're ranked 5th there. We're first in Sagarin, and we are doing very, very well in the statistics that matter, which I do want to save till later. So, Adam, any other thoughts here before we move on?
No, let's just all get the Notre Dame Stadium cheer. I just want to make sure that we don't. Any of us that's like similar, we're all we're similar in age. We don't want. We just don't want another fan base to come into our stadium and be loud and not support our team. Let's support this team. This team has been one of the, besides one Saturday, has been such a fun team to cheer for.
It is a fun team to cheer for.
Yes, and a likable team. Let's get the Notre Dame. Who cares? Get some bibs on. Let's go. Wear some warm jackets.
Yeah, get some hand warmers. Exactly.
Let's hear this is like something that's great. Like it's never happened at Notre Dame Stadium before.
This is the best team I have seen as an adult. Period.
And they're not
Notre
perfect.
Dame team.
They're not perfect.
No,
they're
and we have data. Like I'll drop this one on you. Our passing attempts per touchdown is nothing. To really, blow sunshine and rainbows up my ass. It's not the worst of this playoff field, but it's tied with second worst. It's tied with 10th, with Georgia of all teams. Our passing attempts per touchdown is 17.2. Georgia is 17.2, and that's with their former quarterback, not with whoever the fuck is going to come out in the Sugar Bowl. The worst passing attempts per touchdown team in this playoff field is actually Boise State, 17.3. And that doesn't really surprise you, given that they have, arguably the Heisman Trophy candidate on their team, right? So respect, but and we all know that Notre Dame is not a passing powerhouse this year. All right, so we should not be surprised about that. But to what Adam Dowling is saying is, if we look at the results, we look at our yards per point, we look at our Sagarin ranking, we look at our scoring margin, shit like that, we're doing very, very well. And there's many things to be excited about this football team. So, Adam Dowling, thank you so much. We will talk next week.
Yeah, we'll be in North Lot. Anyone that's going to be there, so If you're going to be in South Bend, we'll be in North Lot, and
Cool.
if not, we'll see you in the stadium. And let's be loud. Let's make it a great
Will I
home
see you in the
environment.
stadium, or will you be up in your cozy spot?
Well, yeah, I'll be.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out when we get there. How about that?
I'll be out in the parking lot all day. It all depends if Tiffany is tough enough to go.
Give her some hand warmers, man. Give me a break.
She
buy her one of those battery powered jackets.
But we did get a couple for my dad and my brother.
Oh, there you go.
Come with us too. So, and that's one reason I want to call real fast. I'll get off for here in a minute. But I thought it was amazing to hear you say you're bringing your dad, because I've talked to like a couple other season ticket holders and myself too, that all these people want to bring their dad to this game.
Yeah.
That shows how amazing this is, because that's what we did too. We're bringing my dad and my brother as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, last game it was just me and my dad. Was actually 2008. It was a Pittsburgh game. That's a sprinkler game.
Yeah,
if people know what that is. So, but what's funny is I don't really remember a whole lot about the game. I just remember just chilling with my dad in the stadium and calling it good. So, all right,
so
Adam,
whatever side you're on too, though, because we can come down to the concourse too. So, but my dad and my brother are going to be down low.
Lower level. I think we're actually right under you in section 15. If
yeah, my dad and my brother, we got them. They're in section 11, and
then
we're up top.
Yeah,
but we can come down. We can come down as well.
Yeah, we are
down.
very near each other then down in the concourse. Yeah, easy to get to. Excellent.
All right, we'll talk to you next week though, and we'll figure something out.
Brilliant. All right, thanks, Adam.
Talk to you.
All right, we talked to Adam Dowling, Luis, Nolan, Red Snapper's here. He can always talk. Jimmy Joe, he's on mute. Let's bring Jimmy Joe back on.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Irishman?
Jimmy Joe,
what's
up?
Namaste, Jimmy Joe.
Namaste.
Oh, nice. I saw that Dr. Abby was on, but she's now off the line here.
What? The chief of staff has dropped off here. We have a lot of we had our Adam, I think. What did we name Adam? He was the director of podcast development or something to that effect. I don't know what that was, but
sounds like you got to check the notebook.
I guess I'm
sure it's written down somewhere.
This isn't formal where we have to get the cabinet approved by the Senate and all that shenanigans.
Two-thirds majority, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Jimmy Joe, what's up? We got the playoffs coming up. Notre Dame's playing IU, and Alabama got snubbed. No, they didn't. They didn't deserve to be there. But yeah, Notre Dame's got a home game. What's high level stuff? We don't have to talk too much about IU, but
I am so happy that you get to go to the game.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy Joe.
Oh, that's wonderful. How are you going to stay warm? That's going to be cold.
Alcohol.
Oh, I wanted to know, can you drink hot toddy at the game?
I guess you could sneak it in a plastic type of, vessel. I do have some hand warmers. I will say that. I don't know. Like here's my piece. I've looked at the weather. It doesn't look awful. Like, it's not going to be great, but it's not awful. It also doesn't look like it's going to snow. Now, that can, of course, change in northwest Indiana.
Oh, now you said it. You said no snow. Now we're going to get snow.
Well, and I kind of hope it does. That'd be
Jimmy
so
Joe. You
fucking cool. I'm sorry. Like, go back to the Boston College game of last year. I mean, that looks so fucking cool. Snow game. Like, give me a break. So, yeah, that would be tight. I would not say no to that. It may be cold and a little miserable per se, but I don't know. Like, weather is one of those things that obviously we don't control, but it is an environment that we will be in. I mean, there's and there's two other stadiums that are likely to be very cold as well, right? You got Ohio State and Tennessee. You've got Penn State and SMU. So we are not the only school that may have snow or at least cold, shitty weather during the game, right? And in my opinion, I think that makes it very exciting for college football that the elements may play into this. It is my hope that all week we are not practicing indoors and getting all comfy and shit. No. Practice that shit outside in the fucking cold. Actually hose everybody off, get them really cold before practice. Make practice suck. If practice sucks, games will be awesome. Okay, so that is my hope for this team, that we are making practice suck and cold and miserable, and this is where mental toughness takes over. Don't give me this bullshit that we have to... No. Practice is supposed to suck. It may be absolutely freezing and snowy and terrible next week Friday, so practice needs to be... The environment of practice needs to be worse. Period.
Well, the boys
Practice
that
should
are
be
in
hell
Indiana,
because the game should be heaven.
Amen.
the Indiana boys, they know cold, so they're probably having hard practice too.
It can get cold in Bloomington. As someone who used to live there, we did get snow, right? So I'm not gonna say it doesn't get cold down there. All I will say is this: the coldest I have ever been in my entire life is in South Bend, Indiana. That's all I'm gonna say. And I've been all over the world. I've been to the multiple places in the Rocky Mountains, places in Europe. The coldest I've ever been is certainly South Bend, Indiana. I've never been to Iceland, Greenland, or Antarctica or Alaska, but it is what it is. So.
Oh, I was looking at the on my phone. It says that the game on Friday in South Bend is going to be snowing, 40% chance at 25 degrees.
How can we get that up to 75% chance of snow, Jimmy Joe?
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know either. So.
Well, I know that when you and Red Snapper were at the SC game.
Red Snapper's at the last SC game.
He would. It sounds that really you don't gloat when you win. That's good. I mean, that's humble.
Well, you don't have to really speak out for who was the better team. The scoreboard does that for you.
Amen.
So.
Well, and I mean, I just don't like USC, right? So I'm just happy to beat the shit out of them and then walk away and, put a nail in the coffin, so to speak, right? So we don't need to. Now, what's funny is I had a little bit of an a-hole moment, full disclosure here. I had a tweet earlier in the week, which didn't get much traction, so shame on all of you, where I said, congratulations to USC football for 11 years in a row of not making the college football playoff. I am still not blocked by USC football. I'm surprised with that one. I was sure that factual statement would get me blocked. Nope, they didn't. I think USC football is trolling me that they're not blocking me, even though I say hurtful things like that. But it's not really that's hurtful. It's more truthful. But this is like truthful hurt, like jumping on a bicycle with the seat missing hurt. So.
Oh boy. Oh.
The day before the SC game, I actually went back to No Suck for USC and reposted all the ones that I hadn't posted. So there was like
is he
20
still
or 30
active? I haven't
retweets.
seen him in a bit.
Yeah, I went back and reposted like 20, 30 tweets. And so I was thinking I was going to get blocked because of that.
Yeah, I don't know who it is over that runs the USC Twitter account. And not that we have to get really into a wrap around the axle on this. I'm just like surprised that it's like people, like I know multiple people like, oh yeah, I'm blocked by USC football. I'm like, how the fuck are you blocked and I'm not? And they're like, well, there was this particular tweet. And I'm just like, it just must be the algorithm of Twitter here that USC football is not seeing my shit, which is fine. But it's just, look, my priorities is not to get blocked by USC football. It's to support our team and support Notre Dame football and give my input and opinion about how it can be great and excellent, and that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it.
Well, I know that we are going to be excellent against IU. Have they been playing hard teams?
No, they have not. I'm glad you brought that up, Jimmy Joe. If we take a macro look at the field of 12, that's what I'm going to call this playoff grouping. IU has a strength of schedule of 74. Now, it's not the worst. It's second worst. Only worst team is actually my Broncos at Boise State, my second favorite team. So yeah, now Notre Dame is third worst on that list, if anyone cares. But point being, what's interesting, here's something that's really weird. If I take an average of all of the strength of schedules for all 12 teams in the playoffs, the average of them is 49.5 strength of schedule. There's only like 130 teams in college football, and 49.5, basically 50. Oregon, strength of schedule, 47. Georgia, actually the best, the only one that's in the top 10. Georgia, strength of schedule, 4. Texas, 20. Penn State, 44. Notre Dame, 64. Ohio State, 50. Tennessee, 55. Indiana, 74. Boise State, 85. SMU, 61. ASU, believe it or not, is one of the best, 39. And Clemson, 51. So any of these arguments from Nick Saban or anybody else who's saying, oh, Alabama, strength of schedule, shut up, okay? Because there's a ton of other teams that are in this field that are around the SMU 61. You know, SMU is not that far off from the mean of this current field, okay? So this is a very strange thing this year, and college football is a little different this year. And I didn't do, record and average, win, loss, record, that kind of thing, because I would have, that doesn't matter, quite frankly, anymore. I mean, it does, but all the teams are already, seated and ranked, right? So we don't need to regurgitate everybody's record and wins and losses. We'll do a little bit of that with IU next week. But my point is, the strength of schedule overall of this field is not strong at all. Not at all, right? And like, that doesn't excuse Notre Dame. Your schedule is what it is. But the only one that's good is Georgia.
What does the Sagarin mean?
So all the strength schedule ranking is based off of what Sagarin gives me. Now, the Sagarin ranking mean of everybody is 9.4.
There you go.
Which is a little higher, but that would be expected with the way this playoff works with the conference playoff championship, whatever, field. Oregon 2, Georgia 5, Texas 4, Penn State 8, Notre Dame 1 again for a second week in a row. Yeah, light up Grace Hall. Notre Dame is number 1 in Sagarin again. Ohio State 3, Tennessee 9, IU 11, Boise 30, SMU 10, ASU 12, Clemson 18. So what's interesting is if you just look at the Sagarin ranking, it's on par. So it is what it is. But yeah, strength of schedule is kind of just out the window, and that's a function of your opponents and what their records are, quite frankly.
Could you say that this year, with the chaos of redrafting conferences and teams moving conferences, that played into the strength of schedule foobar?
It's I would be a fool if I said that did not have an impact. However, my opinion is not so much the conference realignment. It actually has more to NIL and recruiting and transfer portal. In my opinion, because look at all these teams, especially like Big Ten teams, right? Like IU is a perfect example. Big Ten teams get paid a fuck ton with their TV deal. Like, they make more, I think, as a program than Notre Dame does with their independent deal with NBC. That being said, these schools have tons of money, and everyone's pretty much already updated their stadium. So we don't need to spend money on that. We'll just spend money on coaches and players. Therefore, what has happened, and IU is an example of that. You can maybe even argue SMU, is that you have schools that have forked out money for good coaches and have forked out money for good players with NIL. And what that has done is leveled the playing field with transfer portal guys that have come to programs based off of money and playing time, this, that, and the other. Okay. And that's why, if you look at IU and you look at their roster and some of these other things, that a lot of IU's players that are productive playmakers on the stat sheet are transfers. They were not recruited, to go down to Bloomington, and they're just like, well, I'm, crimson and cream, through and through. No, that's not the case. Okay. So, and that's nothing against anybody at IU who has done that. I'm just saying, in general, what I think is transfer portal and NIL has actually leveled the playing field, which is funny because I was having this conversation with our pastor, and as he's talking Yang to me, but he does that with a sense of humor. He was genuinely asking, how is it possible that IU is in the playoffs and playing Notre Dame? Because he was like dumbfounded, like, this is ludicrous. How was this a weirdo world here? And I'm like, I think it's because of the transfer portal and NIL. And he didn't, for someone who didn't know anything about college athletics, he was just like, oh, that's odd. And then he was also a little uncomfortable because of that. He's like, wait a minute, this is college. And I said, yes. And that's what makes Notre Dame special, because though Notre Dame has more money than God, and which of course my pastor rolls his eyes, which is fine, because as a priest, he's like, yes, I understand. But that being said, Notre Dame's still going to stick to their academics. They're going to still stick to their identity as a institution of higher learning and excellence. And these other schools, they may have that as well. I don't want to take anything away from any other school. But that being said, Notre Dame's not going to stand down from that. And they're going to maintain that, which is no different from the last, 40 years or whatever. And because Notre Dame has a lot of money and a lot of connections and, is able to sell tickets for fucking $1,200 in the cheapos. I mean, Notre Dame's not doing that. The fans are. But Notre Dame can afford to pay their players and have good talent and retain good coaches, this, that, and the other. So back to the field here in the playoffs, I really think that the NIL and the transfer portal has leveled the playing field. And so the big dogs like Georgia or Texas or Alabama or, Ohio State, whatever, those teams are still there because they still have good players. But as time goes on, you will start seeing more of the IUs. You'll start seeing more ASUs and SMUs, et cetera, cracking into these playoffs. Because you'll find teams that get a spark and they got a good roster and they got the momentum and the way the schedule works out, and damn, they make the playoffs and they're going to Fiesta Bowl or whatever.
That's ASU story big time this year.
I wanted to ask this question. We're going to beat the Indiana boys. Are we going to beat them a lot?
I will do my breakdown next week, Jimmy Joe, over IU from a stat to stat.
After we beat them, where do we go?
That's a good question. Great question. So if we want to do a little foreshadowing here, because I was curious about this as well. So right now, Notre Dame, obviously at home versus Indiana. The next team down in the path is Georgia, awaiting for the winner of Notre Dame IU at the Sugar Bowl in Louisiana. So Georgia down in Louisiana. The winner of that game in the Sugar Bowl goes to the Orange Bowl in Miami. The national semifinals are the Cotton Bowl in Texas and the Orange Bowl down there in Miami. And then the Natty is in Atlanta in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the Falcons play.
Okay, when we beat them, you be nice to your pastor.
Oh no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine with me and Father Todd. That's not the issue. He knows we have a good healthy relationship like that, and so he knows he can say that kind of stuff with me, so it's all good. I take zero offense. I actually thought it was funny as he says at the time, but I was like, how do I say this politely back to you? Good. Well,
Okay, so good. Go Irish! You have a fun time at the game, and namaste to you and Red Snapper and everyone else on the line. Oh, I'm so excited! We're going to go to Orange Bowl then, or Sugar Bowl.
yeah, well, I would love to go to the Orange Bowl too, but yes. First is we've got IU next week, and then we go from there. So thank you, Jimmy Joe.
Okay, namaste.
Namaste, Jimmy Joe.
Let's jump to Coach Era Parsegian, who's been invited to speak. I don't have his walk-up music, which is all the cans and shit falling. So I gotta work on that. I'll make a note here to do that. But Coach Parsegian, welcome back. Unless you got a can you want to throw at the wall, respect.
I can throw a can against the wall if you want me to.
I mean, I don't want you to do it because you're trying to just be ridiculous like other podcasts.
The liquid mass of what's in the can, So
is it empty?
Well, my wife has moved them somewhere, and I'm not exactly sure where she moved them.
Garbage cans.
So there shouldn't be any cans even accidentally knocked over tonight. So.
That's funny. Coach, what's your thought? I do want to get your opinion. Is Alabama, the state they're in, crying their eyes out because they were snubbed? No, they weren't, out of the playoffs.
Well, did you see where their AD got community noted?
Mm-mm.
He got community noted talking about how they're going to have to play a weaker non-conference schedule to make it easier to get in the playoff, and the community note said that SMU actually played a more difficult non-conference strength of schedule than they did. So, Bama being Bama, but
wait a sec, doesn't Bama already play a bunch of layups through the course of the preseason earlier in the year?
At least. I mean, they play Mercer every other couple of years.
Mercer. They
play Louisiana Monroe next year and Eastern Illinois, I think. It's mostly is that directional. Purdue? It's mostly directional FCS schools that they play here and there every year.
Very strange.
So, but I will say this will be the first Nick Saban recruiting class to not win a national title that graduate next spring.
Hooray.
So, welcome back to reality for the first time since 2007, Alabama.
Yikes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's wild. That's really wild to think about. And no disrespect to the legacy that Nick Saban left behind. You can say this, that, and the other about some of the particulars here, but time and time again in the modern era to go the distance, man, that is not easy to do, right? We don't have to get into the weeds about how and where and why that happened, but what I will say is, of all the teams, there's always one team that always seemed to be kind of cracking into that conversation. I'll just put it that way, and that was Alabama for a long time.
Well, when you lower your academic standards to the bottom tier of high school recruits so they can play football for you. And living in the area, I know because Saban would regularly come to the local high schools here and there. those kids weren't very smart. I'll just put it that way.
Fair enough.
That and they would post pictures on their Instagram with handfuls of cash. And this is pre-NIL.
Mm.
So it's
Nothing to see
Alabama's
here.
not the only one. Alabama's not the only ones. It's SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10. They all do it.
Yeah.
But some are better at not getting caught than others.
More like the institution that's supposed to be watching over this is just turning a blind eye because they have.
Oh, well, how long have we
lined.
been waiting on the ban hammer to come for Michigan?
Yeah, that's not
and it's
gonna
still
happen.
just crickets.
That's not going to happen.
So
that's not going to happen. So I'd be shocked.
Nobody
if
takes
it did.
Michigan seriously anymore.
No, they don't even take themselves seriously, quite frankly. Although it was kind of fun to see Michigan beat Ohio State and Ryan Day. Just it's not because I like
supposedly Ohio
Michigan.
State's going to bring him back.
I did see that. Now I did talk to. It's actually my manager. My manager at work is a Buckeye, and he made the comment that if Ohio State loses to Tennessee, Ryan Day will not be there. But if they win, then he's fine. And I'm like, and this is one of those things where it's like, look, this is your boss, so you choose your words kindly. But I'm just like, oh, okay, And then inside, I'm just like, yeah. Honestly, I don't really care, but I also don't like Ryan Day because I think he's a rat-faced motherfucker. So that being said, he can go pound sand, and whether he's still coaching for another 10 years or he gets fired after losing to Tennessee, it's no skin off my back either way. So
one of the funniest GIFs I saw right before that game.
Did you just say GIF?
I did. GIF, whatever.
GIF? Was it peanut butter?
Yeah, it's crunchy. Was the clip from Dr. Evil and a young number 2. He said, "Oh, you want to be the daddy? You want to wear the big boy pants?" And he's taking that exercise ball and he's bouncing it on his head. Oh, you're gonna cry? Cry now? And each time he bounced it on his head, they threw. Dr. Evil was Michigan, and number 2 was Ohio State. And every time he bounced it on his head, it was the year that Michigan beat him. So 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, he starts crying. And I was just like, and that was before the game. I was like, oh.
Hot damn.
It was pretty damn good.
My favorite one was this baby kind of standing in front of, or toddler standing in front of a playoff bracket, and the caption was Alabama trying to get into the playoff, and it pointed at the 12 and went, huh? And then the mom in the background says no, and then the baby just starts bawling, crying its eyes out.
That's funny. All right, Coach Barsegian, any other thoughts you have of the field, or should we get on to William or Jack or some of these other people here?
Well, I assume you're going to do a show next Tuesday, right?
Oh, trust me, we have been planning. Not that tonight's show is a filler. I just kind of wanted to get the pulse out there for the general bit, and we'll get into some stats here soon. Next show is going to be legit. So,
okay. Well, I can either give my one real statement about Indiana tonight, or I can hold it till next week.
Save it for next week. Week.
Yeah,
it's short. And
is it comedic or is it like intense?
It's neither. It's just more of a word of caution.
Okay, say it next week.
Okay.
That I think will go into the vibe of the show, because that's kind of how we're going to go out tonight, with a word of caution about the Hoosiers, that they should not be underestimated. We're talking Yang. We're talking about, oh, this is the first year they've had football. Ha. Yeah. Look, what are we about this show? Scotch, spreadsheets, but the spreadsheets They don't lie. The numbers, they don't lie. Strength of schedule is what it is. Their second worst strength of schedule. I hear you. But there's 4 things they're really good at. And they're all the 4 of those things are better than Notre Dame. So, and these are things that matter. Okay, I'm not talking about yard points here. I'm talking about statistics and the shit that I always talk about. And for all our regulars, they know what those are. So, we've kind of exposed it, so let's jump into it. I looked at our usual stats. I was going to do the top 10 of everything, but then that was going to take too long. And I was like, no, let's cut through the fat with the field of 12 here in the playoff. So we went with scoring margin, total touchdowns, scoring defense, scoring offense, rushing touchdowns, passing touchdowns, and total offense. No, let's do Notre Dame first. Notre Dame has a scoring margin of 26.2. It's second out of every single team in this field. Total touchdowns, Notre Dame is 4th in the country in total touchdowns. They're 3rd in this field. Scoring defense, Notre Dame is 3rd in the country again. They're 3rd in this field. Scoring offense, Notre Dame is 3rd in the country. They are 2nd in this field. Rushing touchdowns, Notre Dame 5th in the country. 2nd in this field. Passing touchdowns, we don't need to talk about this a whole lot. Notre Dame is the worst in the field. They're 60th in the country, but we already knew that. And total offense, total yard points, Notre Dame is 40th in the country, 11th in this field. Okay. Now, if I go through those things, who are the teams in front of them? Okay, scoring margin, Notre Dame, I said, was 2nd. Who's number 1?
Oregon.
Nope. Oregon has a scoring margin of 18.1. Notre Dame is 26.2. The leading team, best team in this field of 12 is 28.6. It's not Boise. Boise is 17.2. Who's 28.6? It's Indiana.
Someone off the wall.
It's IU.
Indiana.
Yes. I will continue. Total touchdowns. Notre Dame is 4th in the country. They have 65 total touchdowns. Boise State is 67. Who's number 1 with 70 touchdowns?
It's going to have to be IU.
It's IU. Yes. Are you getting nervous? You should be. Scoring defense. Notre Dame, 2nd in the field. Who's number 1 at 10.9? This is
Georgia.
No. Ohio State. Georgia's 23rd in the country. They're in the lower half of this field, actually, which is weird. Yeah. Georgia's scoring margin is one of the worst in the field. It's actually 2nd worst, 12.8. The only team that's worse than them is Arizona State, 11.8. Scoring offense, Notre Dame is 3rd in the country, 39.8. They're number 2 behind who with 43.3 scoring offense? It's IU again. Rushing touchdowns is no surprise. It's Boise. Spoiler alert. Okay. Passing touchdowns is not Notre Dame, but you got Texas and Clemson, believe it or not. IU's 5th, by the way. They're technically 3rd if you take into account that numbers 1 and 2 are tied at 1. So okay. So here's where I'm going. IU was in there a lot. And then if I do the 3 stats that I always talk about, what are those? Passing attempts per touchdown, rushing attempts per touchdown, yards per point. First, let's do yards per point. The worst team in this field with yards per point is a team with 13.35, the most inefficient team. It's Penn State. The best team is IU. 10.13 yards per point. The most efficient offensive team in the country with the 74th strength of schedule, the second worst strength of schedule. Now, Notre Dame, a very, very close second, 10.6 yards per point. I almost fell out of my chair when I calculated that. Notre Dame is very efficient with the football. Passing attempts per touchdown, though Notre Dame has a good completion percentage, which I didn't calculate on this particular tab, but we all know that's the case. We'll talk more about that next week. Notre Dame passing attempts per touchdown, 17.2. The most efficient passing team in this field of 12 is... Come on, y'all know who it is.
IU.
It's IU. Yes, 10.5 passing attempts per touchdown. The most efficient team with football. Total yards per point and passing attempts per touchdown. Now, let's go run the damn ball. Where's Natalie when we need her? The worst rushing team in this field is not IU. It's Clemson, 19.5, then ASU, 19.4. Actually, I take that all back. It's Texas, 22.8. IU is 12.5. Boise is 12.3. Notre Dame, blowing everybody out of the water, 10.7.
Woohoo!
And I would argue that 10.7 is even more dynamic because of the trifecta diversity we have in rushing the football between Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Riley Leonard. Our ability to run the ball on our opponents is threefold and can come out of nowhere, which makes us extremely dangerous on the ground. And we do that well, and we are unapologetic about it. So maintain that. We have not done a full breakdown of Notre Dame versus IU. That is next week. But I wanted to do these high-level statistical analyses of where Notre Dame is relative to their opponents. And, of course, we talk about running the football on this show because we like it. But in addition to just liking it, we also know that good teams that tend to do well tend to run the ball well. And Notre Dame
Question.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Your opinion, how much of IU's success in all of these statistics and categories is attributed to their cupcake week schedule?
That's a great question. You can definitely make that argument because IU's strength of schedule is 74. Okay. If I jump over, and you're going to have to bear with me. If I jump over to, like, say, CFBU stats, okay, there's 134 teams that it keeps track of that are in, quote, Division I, right? And if I take where IU's strength of schedule is, okay, which is 74, like, they're in the lower 55 percentile. Does that make sense?
Who's in the grouping near them?
With respect to what statistic? Strength of schedule? Ooh, now you're making me jump over to Sagarin. Bear with me. Sagarin doesn't rank them by strength of schedule, unfortunately. Duke was 66. North Carolina 67. Washington State 87. I'm trying to find somebody in the 70s. Georgia Southern was 77. Appalachia State 73. Oregon State 79. Wyoming 70. Hey, let's do that. Let me write this down for next week. IU, strength of schedule, plus or minus 5 teams. How about that? Y'all good with that?
I like it.
All right. That will take some research. We'll have to do some control F. Find the teams that are 73, 72, 71, right? We'll find them. It'll take a minute, but it works to my meticulous nature. So that'll be for next week. We'll figure out where that is, and we should also do it for Notre Dame. Also for ND plus records. What's the win percentage, right? That'll be a good statistical piece. I think people would like to hear that. What sort of weight do we put behind strength of schedule, right? What are the teams around them, right? Let's not look inward. Let's look outward, okay? Let's judge people by their appearances, not by the good-hearted nature inside, right? Let's be shallow. Let's just look at your physical appearances. Okay. Was that funny? I thought it was. Either way, Notre Dame runs the ball very well. We're number 1 in staggering for a reason. We're blowing the fuck out of people. We have a really good yards per point. The only other team that really is that I think has a chance to quite frankly beat us is IU. Can I say it that bluntly? When I look at these high-level stats, look, I know I'm talking Yang, but the numbers don't lie. IU is a very, very good football team. They are very efficient with the football. I realize their strength of schedule isn't great, but you are who you are with your schedule. And they played one team that they did not do well, and that was Ohio fucking State in their own stadium.
Let's wait and see which conference-affiliated referees we have for the game.
Well, and that I think will be interesting. I don't think they'll give us Big Ten or ACC. It'll probably be like Big 12, if you want to know my opinion. Just gonna go on a limb there. So we'll see who it is. Either way, the refs don't call the plays. Notre Dame does. And IU.
It's not the play calls I'm worried about.
Okay.
It's mostly how, as we've seen in games like Georgia Tech, then games like Texas, Georgia, how these referees seem to have a big hand in affecting the overall outcome of the game, regardless what the play call is. And not just to pick on Georgia, just because those are the 2 most recent games in memory as far as significant plays that should have gone the other way. And both were no calls, I believe. But it's been horrible for the ACC officiating crew.
Well, that is true.
And college football across the board has been horrendous.
That seemed to be a Miami thing, that Miami always had the ball bouncing in their favor, right?
And I did not play as much football as you guys did, especially you, Red Snapper. Why is it hands to the face if an offensive lineman happens to graze the face mask, but the ball carrier can stiff arm all day long, hands to the face?
The big reason for that is because the runner is the target of everyone's aggression. So they have the ball, they know everyone's coming. They give them a little bit of defense and a stiff arm. There's no inherent injury that can come from it. Whereas
a stiff arm, you're not grabbing anything.
When you're a lineman and you're in trenches, you got guys shoulders to shoulders. You're any kind of a tweak of the neck, because of the proximity of everyone, the power with which you're hitting each other, somebody, goes down, and you've seen it how many times where a running back or somebody comes from behind, or a linebacker, and they roll up behind a lineman, whether it's O-line or D-line, and they buckle. If the guys have their necks tweaked because somebody's hands on their face, there is danger for an injury because of that. And so that's the inherent reason for it, is they want everyone's neck to be in a sound position.
Kind of like when Notre Dame cracked USC on the dome when he was going after his knees. Like, you're risking injury doing that.
Well, and that's the whole reasoning behind it, is you've got so many people in such a small area that any kind of roll up, you've got knees going out, ankles going out. That's why most linemen wear knee braces, whether they have injuries or not, just because the likelihood of their knees getting rolled is very, very high.
Yeah, there's a massive humanity, exactly.
Injury with a neck tweaked a different way because somebody's got their fingers up on a face mask, you're asking for paralysis.
It's a scrum. It's chaos, like shit happens down there in the trenches. Yeah. I'm with Red Snapper on that one. And that being said, like a stiff arm is more like a it's more like a woman protecting her purse from being stolen. She pushes away with one arm. She's not swinging the one arm, not clutching the purse. She's just like, get away. Like that is what the stiff arm is. It is a get away from me motion. It is not an aggressive, targeted type of, I'm going to grab you to move you or tackle you
it's
or
a deflection
block you.
Movement. It's a deflection
It's an
movement.
all defensive movement. Can I say that right? Exactly. And so you are not allowed, when you stiff arm, to face mask, as far as grab the face mask and pull it, tug it, whatever. That is illegal. It's usually the crown of the head or somewhere else on the helmet that you're just, blocking someone and visually obstructing them. And anyone who actually knows how to play defenses knows how to rip through that or arm break that kind of motion. Unfortunately, what happens with the stiff arm, if it's done proper, it's very quick, only a fraction of a second, and that's all the ball carrier needs. So
I don't mean to get us sidetracked on rules and technicalities.
No, I'm liking this talk about. Let's talk about the swim move next.
Well, personally, I don't see why it matters that the quarterback has to be under center to spike the ball. Why can't he do it in the shotgun?
Ooh, now we're talking.
Most of the time, when a quarterback's going to try to spike the ball.
I've seen them spike it from shotgun.
Supposedly, it is a rule violation if you spike it from shotgun.
Oh, really?
From what I've been told.
Well, whatever.
Supposedly. Okay. But so is lowering the crown of the helmet into the face mask of the ball carrier. But, of course, Georgia Tech proved us that is not the case.
I want to say that's more of a penalty of convenience, because if I remember correct, it's only a 5-yard penalty. But
okay,
I want to say it's out of convenience.
So if it's going to determine the outcome of the game, that's when the refs throw the flag.
9 times out of 10, spiking the ball is because time is of the essence. So
yes.
the idea of spiking the ball from shotgun, not only is there another second that runs down, but the mere possibility of a fuller motion and more area for the ball to spike and bounce funny. So now the referees have to run around and find it. I think they're doing it to curtail the actual exposure of how far the ball goes when you spike it. If you're in under center and you grab it, you literally are just 2-arm shuffling it down to the ground versus catching it in a full arm motion spike. The ball could land on its oblong pointed end and go bouncing toward the sideline. So for the sake of time reset, I think they instituted it.
So it is a rule of convenience because the refs are old and fat and they don't want to run around chasing the football.
Well, and think of it this way. What if a team did that just to, burn clock? Well, the refs couldn't get it set quick enough and we lost 3 seconds and, so now you have this big, huge, appeal going on because the refs did something. So I could see that's a penalty of convenience just for the sense of let's keep it here and let's curtail it a little bit more since time is of the essence. So it allows us to reset quicker so you guys can snap quicker.
Which scenario, you being a snapper, which scenario is it? The kicking scenario where the snapper cannot be touched, I believe. Is that correct?
Anytime the snapper has to snap longer than 5 yards, he cannot be touched. So if a quarterback were to line up in shotgun 7 yards back, in theory, the rule would hold that you could not impact him directly. Now, I've seen variations of the rule where, depending on the skill level, high school, college, it changes to the eye line of the center. I could long snap looking straight forward. And even though at the high school level it is illegal, when you get to the college level, if the center has his head up, you can hit him.
Mm-hmm.
So at the college level, you don't see a lot of long snappers lift their head when they snap.
Nope.
For me, it actually helped me keep a sharper line for my field goal PAT snapping because I had my head up. When I punted, I still looked back because it's a 15 to 17 yard snap.
That's a
it has a little bit higher of
ball.
An arc. It's a little bit higher of an arc because they're catching it at shoulder height versus a foot off the ground. So me having my head up for PATs and for field goals actually aided my projection and my trajectory. So it definitely helped me quicker, faster, aim small, miss small.
I think we should roll out Red Snapper's snapping highlight video at this point and put that shit on YouTube and let it roll. Let it roll.
Well, hey, there's some eligibility there with some NIL money coming, I'm sure.
Hey, I could warm up and I'd be ready.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Would have been cool. All right, William, Fivers, Owen, anybody else got anything? Or Coach Barsegian, we don't mean to kick anyone else, but we are an hour 40-ish into the show. We're going to save all the deep dive, breakdown, the intensity of the game next year, and a little bit of the macro. Well, actually quite a lot of the macro, a lot of my feelings are going to come out in next show. In a kind of a different format and a different way. I'll put it that way. But if nothing else, I think we'll call it a show. Luis is giving me a thumbs up. He's like, bring on next week's show, right? If that's it, we're gonna call it good. We're gonna call it a night. Red Snappers, anything we missed on the playoff field? Let me ask you this, Red Snapper. Do you like where Notre Dame is sitting holistically in the field, like with Georgia and stuff? Like
I do.
Explain, elaborate.
That. Well, I think the fun part of it being an in-state game, Indiana, Notre Dame, it's the battle for Indiana. You can slice it however you want. Yes, IU doesn't really have a football team, or they didn't until this year. Not. We can trash talk all we want, but the sheer proximity of it, being a home game at South Bend, the history, that this is starting, and hopefully to play off of Luis, we're gonna put some heat to our name. This should be the beginning of a regular thing where we are hosting a home game.
Yeah.
So this is beginning of. So let's start that mentality. So why not start it in state? I like that we're going to have to see somebody substantial at the next round in Georgia. I
Sure.
like that mentality.
There's a lot of
also
demons that can be cured with that game. I will say that. We don't want to look too far ahead, but
one thing that I do love, and this is just looking at the trajectory of teams we've played over the last couple weeks. We had the bye this week, and what I love is being at the game at SC, and SC was bruising us through the air, 100%. So because of that, I think that was a perfect preparation game for the passing attack that we're going to see from Indiana. I think that is a nice natural progression from one game to the next of, okay, we had this test here. This is how we responded. And yes, we took the victory away. This is how we get better in man coverage. This is better how and part of that too was we didn't pressure the ball. Howard Cross not being in there, we felt it. So him being healthy and being back for this playoff game is going to be huge.
do you think that there are demons that need to be reconciled, or if I take a page out of Luis's book here, that this is the best first opportunity for us to have people respect Notre Dame?
Oh, absolutely. Put some respect on our name. And this game is going to be the first step. The next step is knocking off a perennial powerhouse like Georgia.
Yeah. Especially in a New Year's Six Bowl, which I've talked about before, that
this year's benchmark minimum is a New Year's Six. Absolutely.
Yeah. If I have to put it in those terms, I mean, obviously the standard is national championship, but absolutely, like part of me is disappointed that we have to. Let me rephrase that. I'm not disappointed we have to play this game at home. Don't get me wrong, but it's like we have to take care of business at home and then get on to the game that actually matters, in my opinion, which is a New Year's Six Bowl. And to do it against a team like Georgia, a good team, a team that's won 2 fucking titles recently, back to back. Okay, they're a little on the downside. I don't know who their quarterback is, but that doesn't even matter, because what happened in 2014? Ohio State won the fucking title with a third-string quarterback. Go look at history, okay? Good coaches know how to pivot from that, okay? Because they have a system and they just plug in the next guy. Now, does Georgia have the discipline and the dogs up front, pun intended, to do that? I don't know, okay? Because I haven't watched much Georgia this year. But what I will say is that IU is talking their mouth. At least their fans are. Their coach, Signetti, is running his mouth. He's making bulletin board, locker room, tack that shit on a wall type of material. So Notre Dame fans, number one, do not underestimate IU. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the show. Lots of good stats in their side of the ball are cooking. Their strength of schedule is low. We're going to analyze that next week. But the time is now, and it's time for us to write the story of Notre Dame football going forward into the postseason. We got this iconic game coming out in our own house. And we cannot let a team that has never played fucking football that's worth a crap, i.e. IU, come in and beat us. That is fucking ridiculous and shall not, will not, cannot happen. Period. End of discussion. I mean, people can comment and say things if they want, but I don't think we have to say more than that. All right.
Agreed.
That's it. This is the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. We've hit it, and we'll be back next week. We'll see you guys.
I'm on the front line. Story's just beginning. I say goodbye to my weakness, so long to